Hey everybody, Marty Mazzora. Good morning, 9/26, Thursday, 2019. Pre-market update for you. Going to keep this one just to the charts, and believe it or not, it's going to be very brief for you this morning. This is actually a snip from yesterday's video. If you were with me, you'll recall that I was pointing to this very stubborn resistance line. And I suggested that it would make perfect sense if we ultimately come down and test that, and that we'd get a good strong bounce off of that. What was once resistance, I've heard it often said, becomes support, and that's been my observation as well. So made a lot of sense to me that we come down and then we get a rush of buying and we move back up in here to a higher level before if my thesis plays itself out, before we ultimately come down and test some lower levels. And of course, as I keep saying, happy to be wrong. And when the evidence starts suggesting that odds favor that that is the wrong scenario, then we'll be talking about something different to the upside. But right now, that's what odds favor, in my view, over the near to intermediate term going forward. I also pointed yesterday and the prior video to the importance of technology in the S&P 500, and that it occupies nearly a fourth of the weightings, and that it ultimately would be the guiding factor. So first we said, let's take a look at this level for the S&P. Okay, so the question is, did we get there? Well, this is that candle. Actually, we didn't. We didn't quite make it. We did come down a bit further, and we did ultimately bounce very nicely off of that, and we had a really good day on the day. And you can see this morning that bounce to some degree is continuing, although it's waning a bit here as I speak. But this is this morning's candle. So we did come down. We did come down yesterday. Just above that line, we bounced off of it, closed, higher about halfway up this candle, and the market's trying to fight its way to see if it can actually get up. And real bullish move would be to get up today and close above this candle, and that might bring in some buying, some short covering, or what have you. Then get to what has been my near-term expectation, and that's really a marginal new high before, again, if I'm right, before we ultimately roll over into something that we'll be talking about down here at lower levels. But so we'll see. We'll see if today's the day, or if it even happens at all, or if we ultimately do come down and test this level. But again, back to the topic of technology stocks. This was yesterday's presentation, and this is XLK, the ETF that tracks the S&P technology sector. We pointed to this very definite upward trend line, and I said, look for that to get tested yesterday. Look for it to come down and bounce, and that could actually coincide with the bounce in the S&P 500 as well, because again, this is so dominant in the S&P 500, and that would be reflected in the futures that we were looking at yesterday, as well as the S&P 500 cash index that trades during the day. Okay, so how did that turn out yesterday? Well, pretty much right on cue. As you can see, this was the candle we were looking at, and this was yesterday's. Again, this trades during the cash session. We don't have futures to look at here for XLK, but here was the candle we were looking at. Here was yesterday. Sure enough, we came down intraday, penetrated that trend line, and then it held its support, and we bounced strongly right off of it. And as a matter of fact, that coincided precisely with this bounce right here in the S&P contract yesterday. So again, just to give you an insight for how important it is to look at the market sector by sector, asset class by asset class. And I think it is very safe to say that as technology goes, for the time being, so goes the rest of the market. And again, just in closing, speaking of technology, we can take a look at the NASDAQ future contract, because that is very dominated by technology. And as we can see in here, I had some ranges in here yesterday. It came down through this August resistance level, and it did prove as nice support and bounced and closed higher. Look at this candle this morning, coming right down and bounced right off that support right there. This is ambiguous right here. This is traders sitting right above that line, waiting for it to get touched and buying and pushing it higher. A bit of news, good or bad on trade, for example, could provide the momentum, could see the market come down. No doubt some real serious stop losses right in here. Market gets sold below that, you could see some waterfall selling as those stops get hit. No doubt, there's some shorts still existing. I don't think there's nearly as many as there was over the last few weeks, as I've illustrated for you. But again, there's a potential fuel to push this market higher. I keep saying I expect marginal new highs. I think that with this nice move and the exodus of a lot of shorts, I do think there's the potential for some real selling to the downside. I think I can close with this, folks. We are going to see lots of volatility as the rest of this year unfolds in both directions. And I'll keep you abreast of the developments along the way. Look for more on the written blog today. I'm going to offer up some follow-up comments on some of the things I mentioned yesterday. And hope you have a great day. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.